My wife has a male colleague. He picks her up and drops her off every day, and they even have meals and coffee together. I've reminded her more than once to maintain boundaries with colleagues. She turned it around on me. Do you have a female colleague you're flirting with? Is that why you are projecting onto me? Later during a team building event at my wife's company, she went into a tent alone with that man and stayed there for an hour. I didn't say anything more. Instead, I threw myself into work day and night, taking on all the responsibilities of being both parents. A friend asked why I was suddenly working so hard. I smiled faintly and said, even if I'm alone, I want to give my daughter the best life possible. Upon hearing this, my wife suddenly looked up at me. Jack, I don't know if I should say this, but during today's company event, I saw your wife and Ethan go into a tent together and stay there for an hour. Staring at this message, my heart was a whirl of mixed emotions, yet all I could reply was thank you. Chloe and I have been married for 5 years with a 4-year-old child. In the eyes of our friends and elders, we were the model couple. But only the wearer knows where the shoe pinches. I noticed Chloe and I were having fewer and fewer conversations. Our once endless conversations gradually became filled with bills and children. We discussed it, and she said it was because she quit her job after marriage and had been staying home to take care of the family. Indeed, the days spent managing household affairs at home were dull and monotonous. Women should also engage more with society. This world doesn't belong solely to men. My wife had career plans and a company in mind, so naturally I supported her and helped her secure an administrative position through connections. Chloe's mood visibly brightened. She used to frequently share office gossip and amusing anecdotes with me. But the good times didn't last long. A month after Chloe started working, to express my gratitude, I treated Chris, the friend who had introduced her to the company, to a meal. After a few beers, as I raised my glass again to toast Chris like a sworn brother, his face flushed red as he pressed my glass down. Jack, I've thought it over, and as your brother, I have to tell you your wife has been getting too close to a man named Ethan at work lately. Half my drunkenness vanished instantly, and I pressed him for details on just how close they were. He sighed and said he often saw Chloe commuting in the same car with a male colleague, and they would sit face to face during lunch. The most outrageous incident was when they were drinking coffee. Chloe handed her own cup directly to Ethan, and without hesitation, he drank from it. Chloe didn't even bat an eye. Chris patted his own mouth as he finished speaking. Buddy, only scumbags break up families. If I've said anything wrong, just treat it as drunken ramblings. Let me apologize in advance. With that, he downed his glass in one gulp and paid the bill. Though completely sober, I felt paralyzed, unable to rise from my chair for the longest time. Chloe, she couldn't possibly be that kind of person, could she? That night, I don't even remember how I got home. I only remember that when I opened the door, Chloe, as usual, helped me onto the sofa and even poured me a glass of lemon water. Every time I drank with clients, she would wait for me in the living room, no matter how late it was. There were even a few times when she fell asleep on the sofa. But a small lamp and a slice of prepared lemon were always left for me. Today's water was still slightly sour, but as I drank it, my heart felt unexpectedly bitter. To be honest, apart from communicating with me less and less, Chloe is practically perfect. She takes care of me and our child meticulously and never complains when looking after my parents. After hesitating for a long time, I finally spoke up. Chloe, I've never heard you mention any male colleagues at your company. Is there anyone you're particularly close with? Chloe was about to head back to her room, but she froze mid-step when she heard my words. What do you mean you want to see Chris today, didn't he? Did he say something to you? Chloe's expression darkened like a flawless piece of jade, suddenly revealing an imperfection. But soon her agitation quickly subsided. There is someone named Ethan who has been quite supportive at work. I suppose that is who Chris was referring to. To my surprise, she openly acknowledged Ethan's existence and even shared many details about their work interactions, appearing completely at ease. Chloe wrapped her arms around me from behind and whispered softly, "Don't worry, honey, you helped me get this job, and your friend Chris also works at our company. How could I possibly do anything to betray you?" I thought about it, and it made sense. How could my wife possibly cross the line right under my nose? I apologized to her, saying I must have overthought things after drinking too much. But the fleeting displeasure that had flashed across Chloe's face just moments ago kept circling in my mind. Some seeds, once planted, don't bear fruit immediately, yet they attract countless worms that crawl into your heart. That day, I left work early after picking up our daughter. Instead of going home, I drove to Chloe's office building. While waiting for her, I felt a pang of guilt. I'd been so busy with work that I'd neglected her, and I'd never once picked her up since she started this job. Taking care of our daughter today gave me the perfect chance to give her a little surprise. Soon enough, I saw Chloe walking toward the parking lot with a man. But gradually an uneasy feeling began stirring in my chest. It was the way their shoulders deliberately or accidentally bumped and brushed against each other as they walked side by side. It was the naturalness with which that man grabbed Chloe's arm when a car passed by. It was also the faint smile that appeared when Chloe tucked her stray hair behind her ear. I felt my blood boiling, started the car, and pulled up right in front of them. Chloe recognized my car and instinctively took a step back from the man, creating distance between them before greeting me with slight unease. I restrained myself and told her to get in the car, my gaze fixed on the man. I suppose what flashed through my eyes must have been intense hostility, a declaration of sovereignty, a husband's vigilance. But what infuriated me was how the man kept looking at me with such warmth, even greeting me. It left me feeling powerless, like punching cotton. Chloe urged me to drive home, saying my glare was scaring her colleague. That instantly set my blood boiling. Did I scare her colleague they're this intimate every single day? Did they ever consider that one day an invisible hat might drop from the sky and give me a fright? Chloe got angry at my words. It was the first time she raised her voice an octave to retort. What is your problem with a colleague giving me rides to and from work? Why are you thinking such filthy thoughts? Chloe, it's not that my thoughts are filthy, it's that adults should know how to avoid suspicion. Avoid impropriety. Jack, don't you interact with female colleagues at work? And have you ever considered the reason I ride with others is because you never pick me up or drop me off? Other people have their husbands to take them to and from work, but what about me? Her words left me speechless. You make it sound like I'm a neglectful and unreasonable husband. Our daughter was still in the car, and our tense confrontation made her eyes well up with tears. I sighed softly and said, Chloe, I promise I'll pick you up and drop you off every day from now on, but you have to keep your distance from that man. They say women have a sixth sense, but men have it too. Because the radiant smile Chloe had shown earlier was a shyness she hadn't displayed to me in a long time. I softened my stance, but Chloe's attitude remained inscrutable to me. She said impatiently, no need, as long as you stop being so sensitive and overthinking things, you'd be better off spending more time with our daughter. As for Ethan, if you don't like it, I'll maintain boundaries with him. After all, you're my husband, and I'll respect your feelings. Her words were impeccably measured, like striking me with a club, only to stuff candy in my mouth afterward. As I drove, I kept ruminating. Chloe's phrasing had created a peculiar illusion in me. She was no longer that simple homemaker, but more like a workplace veteran skilled at manipulating subordinates. I couldn't find fault, yet felt utterly helpless. When we got home, in the evening, Chloe busied herself preparing dinner. I played games with our daughter in the living room, but my gaze kept drifting involuntarily toward the kitchen. Chloe would frequently pick up her phone to glance at it, tap on the screen for a while, then quickly put it down again. Every time this happened, I could see her stealing glances at me out of the corner of my eye, subtle, yet unmistakable. After years of living together, I could recognize that gaze, carefully restrained, yet tinged with furtive glances. My daughter asked me, Daddy, why are you squeezing the toy so tight? Only then did I realize, yes, my heart feels just like that toy right now. Crushed full of wrinkles. 4 later, Chloe and I had several more arguments. One time was when their company went out of town for a project and had to travel. Worried Chloe might not be eating while I asked her how dinner was. She didn't reply for a while, so I called her on video. She did answer, telling me she was eating and not to worry. But the background in the video was a dark-toned brick wall with soothing music playing. I've only seen this kind of atmosphere in high-end restaurants. Which company would reimburse such a luxurious dinner for employees on a business trip? So I asked her who she was dining with and what they were eating. She didn't expect me to be so observant and became flustered, telling me she was having dinner with a few leaders before hurriedly hanging up. The boss, it's not even a holiday. Why would the boss treat subordinates to a fancy dinner? Even though I knew family scandals shouldn't be aired in public, I no longer cared about saving face. I gave Chris a call to ask about Chloe's business trip. He sent me their company's business trip roster. Chloe and Ethan were conspicuously on the list. What stung my eyes even more was that their hotel rooms were right next to each other. Though each had same-gender roommates assigned, this still made me extremely uncomfortable. Ethan, again, when I called Chloe back, she had already stepped outside the restaurant, sounding annoyed. Why do you keep calling me while I'm having dinner with my boss? Aren't you supposed to be taking care of the kids? When people feel guilty, they often play the victim. First, having seen enough of human nature, I naturally understood Chloe's intentions. So I asked her which bosses to take a photo and show me. After hearing me out, Chloe repeated 3 times, "Are you out of your mind?" Each repetition carried a rising inflection. Since we got married, though we had occasional minor conflicts, we never resorted to verbally attacking each other. Before I could respond, she immediately turned the tables and confronted me with righteous indignation. Jack, we made this decision together before I took this job. It's only been a little over a month, and you've been suspicious the whole time. If I'd known it would be like this, why would I have even bothered coming out here? And now you want me to take photos of my boss's face? If you're so bored with nothing better to do, go run some laps downstairs. Stop calling me. The call was hung up again, leaving only me and my own face on the screen, mocking each other for being clowns. Another time on a weekend, Chloe told me she was going shopping with a girlfriend, spending all that time primping and preening at home. Instinctively suspicious, I half-jokingly asked, which girlfriend, not a guy, is it? That was like lighting the fuse of a bomb the first time I saw Chloe's face twist into something ugly. She cursed at me in front of her child. How can you say such disgusting things? You were the one who told me to socialize more and go out more often. Now you're thinking with such a filthy mind. Don't project your own dirty thoughts on everyone else, okay? But I clearly saw the reflection of her phone messages in the mirror. It was Ethan. Chloe left, and when the front door slammed shut behind her, the ceiling trembled. The room was left with only my ragged breathing and our daughter's quiet sobs. Chloe, was this really the right thing for you to do? Or was it worth it for the sake of an outsider? Today, when Chris texted me, saying Chloe and Ethan had gone into a tent together during a company event, I barely felt anything anymore. In my hand, I held a photographed Chloe's graduation picture. She was smiling radiantly, the sunlight bathing her in the glow of her best years, shimmering with dazzling brilliance. So beautiful that behind her, not a single boy was looking at the camera. Their gazes were fixed on her. And this guy was Ethan. At last, I understand why these past 2 months, every time I repeatedly advised Chloe to maintain proper boundaries, all I got in return was being treated like an unreasonable husband. Now, I finally know why Chloe suddenly insisted on going out to work when everything was fine, even going so far as to specify which company she wanted to join. I figured it all out, but I'm exhausted too. I mistakenly thought Ethan was just a stranger, that his intrusion into Chloe's and my life was merely a shooting star here, one moment gone next. But I never expected that the tale of this shooting star came from Chloe's youth. Chloe once told me I was the sun in her life. Yet now this very star has been shattered to pieces by a mere meteor. Shattered into debris and fragments, drifting through the cosmos. Where to go, I don't know. What it was like before, I've forgotten. One thing is certain, that shooting star pierced straight through my heart, taking with it the girl who once occupied its warmest center. Ever since I broke, it seems I've lost interest in anything related to Chloe. Before, even when Chloe and I spoke little, even when life was full of trivial troubles, one thing I was absolutely certain of. I love her deeply. When she was sick with a fever, I wanted to stay by her bedside, giving her water and medicine, hoping she would recover quickly. Whenever the weekend approached, I would think about where to take Chloe and our daughter to have some fun and relax. After making money, I would meticulously plan trips just to take Chloe out, hoping to see her smile again after so long. But now I no longer have these thoughts. Darling, something urgent came up at work. I need to go in for overtime. Jack, there is a lot of miscellaneous work today. I want TB back for dinner tonight. There is a sudden meeting this weekend. You'll have to take care of our daughter at home. Chloe's work kept getting busier. I found it almost laughable. Because Chris has been complaining to me recently that their company's business has been shrinking and he is practically bored to death. Tonight, I had already gone to bed when Chloe glanced at her phone and suddenly got up. Her expression was complicated, anxious, yet hesitant to speak. Recognizing her discomfort, I said understandingly, "Something wrong?" She bit her lip and nodded her face, nearly turning red from the effort. At this exact moment, I deliberately stayed silent, quietly watching her performance. I was especially curious to hear what excuse Chloe would come up with for going out so late at night. Darling, my colleague's child has depression. He has been motherless since childhood, and now he is having an episode. One need to go check on him. I really couldn't hold it, and our daughter was still sound asleep beside us. And now she wants to run off to take care of someone else's child, to be a mother to someone else. Silently in my heart, I counted down 3 questions for myself. The first one, it's Ethan, isn't it? After I asked, Chloe froze for a moment while getting dressed, but quickly resumed without answering me. The second one, do you know what time it is? Do you remember you're married? I asked another question, but Chloe looked at me with a complicated expression. She said, honey, just this once. He sounded really desperate when he called. I could even hear his child crying. The third one, if you walk out that door, don't bother coming back. Chloe said, this is a matter of life and death. The motion sensor light in the living room turned on, though the lighting was dim. It now felt like a meteor about to blind me. Chloe left. I woke up, and so did our daughter. Sitting at the desk, I opened the divorce agreement. My daughter asked me sleepily, Daddy, what are you writing? I couldn't help but pat her head with some reluctance. Dad is writing the epitaph for our marriage. 6 the next morning, when I was taking my daughter to kindergarten, I happened to run into Chloe, who was just returning. Her face was weary, her eyes bloodshot, but I couldn't muster a shred of sympathy. Our daughter didn't greet her either. Though we were a family of 3, when we met at the elevator, it felt like encountering unfamiliar neighbors. Not even on nodding terms, that kind of distant. Chloe opened her mouth as if to say something to us. But until the elevator doors closed, our eyes never met again. The elevator was enclosed, yet I felt strangely ventilated. I suppose as long as I couldn't see Chloe, it was like taking a breath of pure oxygen. I told my parents about this matter. This isn't just complaining. I genuinely need my mom to step in and help for a while. Because I plan to fully return to work. In my 30s, it's the prime time for my career advancement. I used to work overtime, but never too late. Because there was still a wife waiting for me at home. But now there's nothing left in my home. Not long after starting work, I received a call from Chloe. She must have seen the divorce papers I left on the table. She asked me in panic what I meant. How ridiculous, even though some answers have long been known to mankind, people still insist on asking again. Why do people die? Because birth, aging, sickness, and death are the natural order of things. Why are we getting divorced? Because infidelity and crossing boundaries makes separation inevitable. Is this because of Ethan? Can you stop being so petty? His child really had a depressive episode yesterday. That poor boy has been motherless in childhood. I was just playing the role of his mother to help him fall asleep. Are you overthinking things again? Helping him sleep required staying until daybreak. If he has no mother, doesn't he still have a father? I had a torrent of complaints bottled up inside, but when I spoke it all condensed into a single sentence. Yes, Chloe, it's all my fault. I won't criticize her anymore, nor will I try to persuade her these are all my problems. I even want to apologize to her as long as she is happy. On the other end of the line, she fell silent. I imagine she must have prepared many arguments to counter me, but now they all have nowhere to go. When she spoke again, her voice trembled slightly. I'll wait for you to come back, and we can talk properly over dinner if you don't like it. I won't have any contact with him in the future. Here we go again. The cheapest thing in the world is lovers, empty promises, and sweet nothings between couples. Chloe would solemnly sink to the depths each time, only to frivolously soar back up again. How could I possibly still trust her when I got off work? My daughter had already been picked up by my mother and taken home. As usual, my boss discussed the project situation with me, thinking I was going home to be with my wife and kids, but this time I stopped him. I even took the initiative to request materials for a new project and started researching them. My colleagues were also stunned by my transformation. They asked me why I suddenly started working so hard. I said I want to give myself and my daughter a better future, a better life. Who knew how much that woman would try to take from me during the divorce? After all, she was in a hurry to become someone else's mother. By the time I got home at 11, Chloe had still left the light on for me, with a lavish dinner waiting on the table. Seeing me return, she suddenly became like a wound-up doll, gently offering to heat up dinner for me. I ignored her. I never knew company dinners could be so enjoyable, a whole crowd eating takeout together, the atmosphere lively and warm. Unlike how things are at home now, Chloe was like a little deer in the jungle, hopping around me, excitedly chattering away about so many things. For example, she had picked out a farm she liked and wanted to take our daughter there with me over the weekend. She knew I loved watching movies and started telling me about the new releases, describing the plots, and even saying she had booked 2 tickets for us to watch together over the weekend. In the past, I would have dropped everything to meet her gaze and discuss it with her. But now I just feel like a fly buzzing incessantly in my room. So annoying, I want to crush it. When I took a shower, that fly also flew into the bathroom. Thankfully, the steam was thick enough that I couldn't see its antennae. Finally, as I took out the bedding and prepared to sleep in another room, Chloe broke down. She cried, asking me through tears if I would never forgive her. For the first time that night, I spoke up. Chloe, it's not that I don't forgive you, or rather, I don't blame you anymore. We're both adults. You're my wife. So I respect any decision you make. Everyone has the right to pursue happiness. You have yours, and now I have mine. Sign the papers, and when we're free, we'll go to court. Jack, is it really necessary to be so cruel over an outsider? For the first time, I screamed at Chloe with such force that the veins on my forehead throbbed violently. That's right, you, Chloe, treat my words like fart because of an outsider. You abandoned me and our daughter at home because of an outsider. You made me look like a pathetic fool in front of my friends because of an outsider. Did you ever think about me? She remained silent, tears streaming down her face. But seeing her cry only made me angrier. She had no right to act like the wrong party. The terms I offered Chloe in the divorce agreement were very generous. Although this apartment was purchased before our marriage, she is still the lady of the house. I plan to give her half of the property worth several $100,000. We're adults. Just because she had an affair doesn't mean I have to make her leave with nothing. That might feel satisfying, but in reality, there are many factors to consider. For example, in the future, when our daughter wants to see her mother, I can still take her to meet Chloe, so she won't be turned away. Moreover, I'm the kind of person who always acts with a clear conscience. That's my principle. It's true, Chloe cheated, but she did genuinely give her all at one point. All my friends advised me that this approach was too weak, that someone who cheats doesn't deserve any forgiveness. I smiled and explained that I never forgave her. I forgave myself for misjudging her character. Wrongdoings must come with consequences. Chloe thought I'd get over it after some time. She even quit her job and waited at home every day for me to return from work. Before and after marriage, she would cook, but never wash the dishes. I feel for her. A woman's hands are delicate and precious. I don't want my woman to have rough, whitened hands from detergent by her 30s. So either I do it or we let the dishwasher handle it. Lately, she has been cooking for me every day, but I never take a single bite. I just sit in the living room watching her silently put the food away, throw it out, and wash the dishes. It pains me a little, not for her sake, but for the wasted food. What a waste. Chloe has discussed Ethan with me more than once, and I just listened quietly without offering any comment. She said Ethan was just a regular friend to her. What kind of friend share a tent and spend the night alone together for the sake of a so-called depressed child? She said Ethan didn't like her, that he actually preferred men. Then what was he doing having a child with his ex-wife? How did that happen to surrogate? In short, Chloe's words were already incoherent and full of holes, but she would still say them. She was gambling, betting that one time I would believe her and pull her back into my arms. But unfortunately, she had long run out of chips, and I was no longer willing to sit at that gambling table. Let those who love to play keep playing. Only diligence and hard work can lead to wealth. 9. I have indeed become wealthy recently. I've been working tirelessly and gained my boss's favor. My abilities have never been lacking. I just didn't have the time or determination to fully commit to my career before. That Friday, heavy snow came fluttering down from the sky. Tomorrow would be perfect for taking my daughter out to have a snowball fight. When I went downstairs, I got the shock of my life. Chloe was standing in the snow like a statue, not even holding an umbrella. Her hair, shoulders, even her eyelashes were covered in snowflakes. She looked just like a snowman. The moment she saw me, she burst into tears. Do you remember, Jack, when you pursued me back in college? It was on a snowy day. I nodded. Yes, December 29th, 2017. Chloe forced a beautiful smile and whispered softly, this time, let me be the one to pursue you, okay? In that instant, her figure overlapped with that youthful girl from 7 years ago. That day she was walking the snow just like this. The cold wind, carrying swirling snowflakes, crept into her collar, making her shiver. Under the streetlight, a shadow suddenly enveloped her. It was the umbrella I held up. Classmates' snowy days are better spent with a lover. My off-key remark made her face flush instantly. Today she still stands in the snow, but I no longer have any desire to protect her. She is only moved by her own emotions. The most extreme form of violence in the world is the silent treatment. No matter how much Chloe said to me, my response was always the same please sign. She understood my resolve, and she knew this was a force she couldn't withstand alone. So she began looking for mediators. Her relatives were the first to visit, trying to persuade me that a day as husband and wife brings 100 days of love, and that our daughter was still young. She couldn't lose her mother just like that. They also urged me to be magnanimous, saying everyone makes mistakes, and besides, Chloe had only grown a bit closer to someone else. She hadn't actually done anything to betray me. The most terrifying form of kidnapping is moral kidnapping. But morality is nothing but a fart in the face of truth's towering mountain. I released Chloe and Ethan's chat records. All those relatives couldn't even lift their heads, and the few who tried to speak were silenced by a single glare from me. Chloe was also too shocked to speak. Every time she told me there was absolutely nothing between her and Ethan, that it was all in my head. That had been her strongest defense. She never imagined I already knew everything. My silence doesn't mean I don't know. Just because I don't want to tear us apart doesn't mean I can't. The more she talked, the more she seemed to deceive, even herself truly believing she never crossed that line. After the relatives had left, I crouched down and looked at Chloe, her face streaked with tears, and spoke without any emotion. Remember what you did remember? How wild you were with Ethan? I've got the video right here, want to relive it. I could see sheer terror surging in her eyes. I've always been ruthless. I never fight battles I'm not sure of winning. Without concrete evidence, I wouldn't make baseless accusations either. I gave her chances, even tried to forget it myself, just as she had deluded herself into doing. I allowed her to make mistakes, countless glances exchanged in past lives, just for a fleeting encounter in this one, let alone becoming husband and wife. But she squandered my love over and over, and trampled the pure land in my heart that belonged to her, leaving it stained with filth, plucking all the petals from the rose, leaving only the thorny stem. I gently patted her cheek, using the softest words to cruelly flay her heart. Chloe, be a good girl, and sign the papers. Once you do, we'll both be free. On the day we went to handle the formalities, our daughter insisted on coming along. Dad, I want to see Mom again. A few short words made my heart ache. Divorce is like this. It's supposed to be about the love and hate between adults, yet it inevitably drags along innocent children who understand nothing. So I could only work even harder, making up for what I owed my daughter with everything I had. Chloe burst into tears the moment she saw her daughter. The last time she asked me if we could avoid divorce and go back to how things were. I didn't speak, my daughter answered for me. Mom, even though I really don't want to let you go, the teacher said that mistakes must be punished. You must do better from now on, okay? How can my daughter know that Chloe's mistake would take a lifetime to mend? Some mistakes can never be undone. Chloe proudly refused all the compensation I offered her. This truly made me see her in a new light. But the truth was, I was mistaken. It was the last flicker of light before the final collapse. Because before long, she had already moved into Ethan's house. 12 in this ridiculous and humiliating entanglement, I never once went to confront Ethan. I always thought I was the most clear-headed person in the world. I'm different from most protagonists in online revenge stories. The third party certainly deserves blame, but the biggest problem lies with the unfaithful person in the marriage who chose to cheat. So what's the use of confronting Ethan? Knock down one Ethan, and there will be a second, a third. Might as well just take down Chloe alone. Cheating is just like domestic violence. There's only the first time and countless times after. But I never expected Ethan to find me first. He sat across from me, still with that same gentle warmth. Yet this time, I understood the true meaning behind that expression. Just like the first time I met him. It was a triumphant moment, yet some things had changed. For instance, the hostility in my eyes was gone, replaced by a gentleness that even surpassed his. Jack, aren't you angry? When I was a kid and someone took my lollipop, I'd throw a tantrum. Now, when it gets snatched away, I actually think it's for the best. Why, when you grow up, you realize lollipops are just full of artificial coloring. Ethan fell silent for a long moment before finally stating the purpose of meeting with me. Chloe is thin-skinned. I came today to ask you to contact Chris again and get Chloe reinstated in my company. I can pay for it. I thought I'd misheard him until he repeated it. Even if the deal falls through, there's still goodwill between us. After all, as her ex-husband, you should take responsibility for her. I raised my hand to interrupt. An ex-husband is only responsible for the first half of her life. The second half belongs to whoever takes over. He was left speechless by my retort, but needing my help, he could only speak kindly. How much will it cost? I'll give you an extra share. I clapped my hands together with a sudden slap. Everything became clear. I quoted him a figure, and he agreed, readily transferring the money on the spot. What a devoted couple. When you take someone's money, you naturally have to do their bidding. I contacted Chris and got Chloe back into the company again. Though I made one additional request. Fire Ethan. He just transferred a sum of money to me. You can use that to pay his severance. Perfect. Closed loop. Chris was stunned when he heard this and immediately offered to treat me to dinner again. Turns out the company had wanted to get rid of Ethan for ages. Now they're making him leave without spending a single cent. Absolutely brilliant. I have to admire my own brilliant maneuvering in this situation. Ethan essentially paid for his own layoff. 13. Chloe came to me under the pretext of seeing our daughter. She said I couldn't treat her and Ethan like this. You've already abandoned me. Must you drive us to utter ruin too? Hearing this made me feel like some kind of monster, with Chloe once again casting herself as the victim. But let us be reasonable here. Her current administrative salary is about the same as Ethan's was before Ethan asked me to get her into the company, and I did it. What exactly did I do wrong? Ethan got fired because of his own issues, and besides, he can always find another job. I commented indifferently, but Chloe suddenly flew into a rage. Jack, I'll tell you why I cheated. It's because you always act so superior. You're indifferent to everyone. The only person you care about is yourself. I worry about the whole family day after day at home. Have you ever considered me? And I'll tell you this, it's Ethan who made me rediscover the passion in life. Nothing like the lifelessness of being with you. Sigh, if Chloe had said these words to me before, I would have sat down calmly to comfort her. I would tell her that the essence of life is actually as calm as flowing water. This is already the happiness many people spend their whole lives pursuing. If she wanted some excitement, I would have accompanied her in the search. But now, there's only pity in my eyes when I look at her. If a person reaches 30 without the slightest understanding of what life truly is, how can she possibly live the rest of her life well? Chloe lifted her chin and told me not to overestimate myself. They could live just fine without me. But the outcome I had foretold arrived even sooner. Chloe was beaten and thrown out of the house by Ethan. 14. After Chloe's affair, though I never confronted Ethan, I did investigate him. His last divorce was due to domestic violence. People really are different. My way of venting frustration is to work myself to the bone. Ethan vents his anger by hitting women. Come to think of it, he always puts on the act of a gentle, good-natured man in public. But the more he does so, the deeper he suppresses his violent side. Once it erupts, there's no stopping it. Ethan is no longer the naive boy he once was back in school. Years of experience can completely change a person. But Chloe didn't know. She was like a moth throwing herself recklessly into that fire for so-called passion. She only cared about the brilliance of a shooting star. But she forgot how high the temperature from atmospheric friction could be when a meteor enters the atmosphere. Chloe's ribs were broken, and she lay sobbing uncontrollably in the hospital bed. But the moment she cried, the pain only intensified. With no one else to turn to, she had to rely on me. She said Chloe had always been strong-willed her entire life. Yet before me, she was utterly defeated. I comforted her. Nonsense. You only lost to your own blindness. Just like in the past, whenever she faced trouble and felt lost, I would always stand behind her. Just like now, she asked me what she should do. I quickly list out all the information, gather evidence of this injury, then report it to the police, and sue Ethan, striving to put him behind bars. Take his compensation, move to another city, and start a new life properly. Of course, if you still care about your man, then forgive him, let him recover from his injuries, and come home only to be beaten again. She didn't mind my teasing, a glimmer flashing in her eyes. You still care about me, don't you? I glanced at my phone and quickly corrected her. No, I have to pick up my daughter from her after-school class. I came here to quickly sort things out with you. Stop disturbing our lives. I can't keep cleaning up your messes every time. It's not my obligation. When I left, she was in the hospital room, crying her heart out. It hurt, then the pain spread to my broken ribs, making it worse. It hurts, so cry again over and over. Like the life after she left me. 15 years later, I heard about Chloe again. She had opened a restaurant in the neighboring city. It was called Chloe's Corner, and business was reportedly doing well. On TikTok, she often appeared in videos promoting her shop. In the comments, those who've been there all say the proprietress is beautiful and mature. What's more, she particularly enjoys washing dishes herself. They said that in her youth, she had a husband who adored her, but she failed to cherish him. Now, she wanted to spend a lifetime washing dishes to make up for that regret. Chloe said it again, doing things that move herself, but it's kind of sweet. At least she has changed a lot, and our daughter has grown up. Though she was still young, when we divorced, she remembers what happened. She said she didn't blame me. Under the sunlight, my daughter suddenly asked me to crouch down. A pair of small hands began searching through my hair. She said, "Daddy, you have white hair. Now, maybe you should find another mommy. You've worked too hard these years." I shook my head with a smile. My daughter's name is Lily. I'm Jack once. She was my queen, and I was her Jack. We thought we could win the game of life. It was good to have loved the end.